Thank you guys for joining. Let's have a good stream today. Let me know if you can hear me well. All right. So today's schedule is gonna be the same that I usually follow. So I'm gonna talk about macro first. What happened last 7 days, what to look forward to this coming week. Then we'll chart BTC, ETH, Sol, look at some alts. And if you guys want me to chart any alts for you, just post it in the comments and I will look at them after everything is done. All right. Give me a second here, guys. Give me a second. Okay. So, last week we had the CPI, we had the PPI, both come through, and as I showed, like the CPI inflation went up from last month. Last month it was 3.8%. This month it came at 4.2%. And again, the inflation is really related to oil and energy and transportation, like logistics, all that kind of stuff. That's where the majority of the inflation is happening. So at the same time, while the inflation or while the oil crisis is going on, there is some slow growth happening in the market. So this is why they're kind of not doing rate cuts at the moment. But what really, really shocked me was really the PPI. It came, it came horrible. Like it was far from the forecast. And the PPI really focused on the energy and logistics. It really showed you that, hey, there is a problem here. There is inflation in this area, and it's actually impacting not just consumer inflation, but the producer inflation, because that's really telling you that there is a cost pressure underneath for the producer. And as you guys know, what if costs go up for the producer, that gets passed down to the consumer, right? So the CPI is telling us what the people are paying now. The PPI is telling us what companies may still try to pass on later. So that's why, for me, the PPI mattered more than what the general sentiment thought, you know. For me, the PPI is really telling us that this is still a problem that's going to happen into July, because that inflation still didn't get passed on yet. All right. Another thing, I don't know if you guys pay attention, like where you live. Like for me in general, gas prices are up a lot, and you can tell like how important they are, because everywhere I go, ironically, when I go to the gym, when I go to work, where I go into a store or whatever, everyone's just talking about and complaining about is like the gas prices. Really, it is really, really high now, especially for us in Canada. And I've never seen so many people consider electric cars now. So EV cars are going, after this issue, EV cars are going to be in big demand in certain countries. Like in Canada, we're seeing more and more people changing their sentiment for like EV cars. And I think honestly, a lot of people are just holding out for like BYD to come into Canada and America, because a lot of people don't want to buy Teslas either. So um, Chinese vehicles are actually great, believe it or not. They're very, very good cars. But yeah, this is what happened in terms of like inflation. But we had the CPI, we had the PPI. So ultimately, oil is still really like the problem that, you know, for this whole thing. As you guys know, the Strait of Hormuz is about 20% of the global oil and gas traffic. And until that issue is resolved, like even if they do agree to a ceasefire, even though if they do agree to opening up the strait, it doesn't fix the issue immediately. It just means that they can start working on fixing the issue. And that, like, if they reach a ceasefire now and now they open up the strait, we will be looking at the issue getting fixed by quarter 1 of next year, right? So the faster we actually open up the strait properly, the faster we can actually fix the issue. So the long if this war continues, let's say after the summer, we could be looking at everything, and let's say they after the summer they reach a ceasefire, everything's back to normal, it opened up, then we're looking at everything being resolved late quarter 1 of 27 into starting of quarter 2 of 27. Okay, so this all impacts logistics as well, like shipping and whatnot. So even though you may not be in the gas and oil industry, sorry, if you are in general importing raw materials or anything involving shipping containers and all that stuff, you're gonna see an increase in your cost. And that actually we are already seeing that. So prices of shipping has gone up in general for everyone, regardless if they are part of that industry. So that is another issue that people are not really taking in. So we just have to show a little bit of patience, and then this issue will be resolved. Okay. Um, Again, the market in general, like when we look at some macro stuff here, um, like the 30-year didn't really change much. The bond, the 5-year didn't really change much. We saw gold take a dip. Again, people when they see these type of yields, keep in mind gold for the most part does not pump a lot. Like it's for us to see this type of uptrend um, in gold, it is not very frequent. Like we saw, look how long this chop period took, right? So this was from 2010, and we didn't break out till 2024. So gold, for the most part, does not grow a lot. It's very rare we get a big uptrend like that, and it could be, as you guys saw, macro environments, all that stuff, political issues, yada yada, and so forth. But when you see like bond yields like this, 5% and whatnot, guaranteed, it's very hard for investor to ignore it. So seeing a gold sell off, people moving it possibly into bonds and whatnot, is not makes sense to me. Um, we saw as well the VIX take somewhat of a dip. This is pretty good. You want to see the VIX pump, sorry, dump, not pump, if you are bullish. But yeah, going back to what do you call it? Let's see oil real quick. Oil took a little dip here. Last week we were looking at 95. Now we're looking at 85, and mainly the down move that we saw in oil happened on the last 2 days of the week, which was Thursday and Friday. And that dip happened when, the news came out about the ceasefire and reopening up the strait and all that kind of stuff. So this is why we kind of saw the dip in oil happen in the last 2 days. But if it's actual real, we don't know, right? Because as of today, um, we already saw the ceasefire break, and they're supposed to sign it today. Like today was supposed to be the final deal. They sign it. Everyone, uh, there's peace, yada yada, and so forth. But today there was still bombings happening, so I don't know if they will actually um, move forward with this deal and actually stop the war. It doesn't seem to be the case, in my opinion. Okay, let me go back straight to the BTC chart. Now, what is there to look forward to this week? We got mainly FOMC on Wednesday, 2 p.m. is the rate decision. This is Warsh's first FOMC, so we're gonna hear him out for the first time. There's no rate cut, there's no rate hike. Rates are going to stay the same. As I said, guys, I don't check Polymarket, I don't check Kalshi, I don't check anything else when it comes to FOMC data. You always check the CME. That's what I check. So when I check the CME, 98.6% chance we're gonna have no changes. So I'm sticking to that. FOMC is not going to have any rate changes. But just before FOMC, we have the Bank of Japan, and the Bank of Japan is going to do a rate hike. 94% chance they're going to do a rate hike. They're going to take it to 1%. Now, the 12-month outlook is 2 to 3 hikes. So, this is possibly, this is more than likely not the last rate hike for Bank of Japan. More than likely, they're going to do one more. And the odds are the last rate hike will be end of this year to the start quarter one of next year. All right, that's where it's pointing towards. But for now, we have Bank of Japan going to do a rate hike, and I want to show you guys why this is important. I pulled out the dates of the last rate hikes we have seen, and I want to place it on the chart for you guys. Let's go with the first rate hike they did. I'm going straight to the daily chart. So the first rate hike they did was in March 19, 2024. And that rate hike went from negative 0.1%, and I believe they took it to 0.1% positive. So it was negative interest rate. They took it to a positive interest rate. So this happened March 19, 2024. They announced it here, and it came into effect on the next day, well, 2 days after, March 21. So what we saw was initial pump, a slight pullback, another pump, and this was, ironically, this was the celebrity meta on Solana, and this was the Trump shooting, but ultimately we came down to 48K. So we had an initial pump at the start. That's what I always tend to see, an initial pump right after the rate hike, but we always end up with a major pullback. So we went all the way to 73K, straight to 48K, and that was a 33% pullback. All right, so the first rate hike gave us a 33% pullback on BTC. Now, we had, during that period of time, we had another rate hike by Bank of Japan, and it happened on July 31st, 2024. So during this big dump, we saw actually 2 rate hikes. So the next day it came into effect, and it came right after the Trump shooting, and we dumped to 48K. So 2 rate hikes in this period of time. The first one took us to 72. Let's say if we pulled back over here, we pulled back to 56. So if we were to say, okay, here, 22%, and then here, it was 26%. All right. So either way, we always get a pullback. This is the first 2 rate hikes. Now we had another rate hike, which was January 24, 2025. It went into effect on January 27. Now, we went from 106K straight down to 74K, which was a 30% pullback in the market. Now, for the last rate hike we had, this was December 19. Okay. And it came into effect December 22. We had the initial run up, and this was a good pump because honestly, it made everyone fade the rate hike. But you guys see what happened. We had a 40% pullback in the market. Now, we have a rate hike possibly happening here. And it should come into effect around here. So more than likely, we may get a weak pump. But eventually, I think we're going to lead to another leg down. Now, every leg down has been 20 to 30%. Let's map that out. All right. If we were to go down 20% from here, we're looking at 52K. If we're looking at a 30%, sorry, wrong one. If we're looking at a 30% pullback on the rate hike, we're looking at 45K. Now, all that depends is where, if we get a nice initial pump like we had during the last rate hike, or we just keep going straight down. But either way, a pullback is going to happen with this rate hike. Okay? This is why the Bank of Japan rate hike is really, really important. We already saw a rate hike with the European Central Bank. But yeah, this is what I wanted to point out to you guys. Let me delete all this. Now, in terms of like crypto news, we're still seeing more developments around stablecoins across the world. Every week, there's some new country popping out that's trying to improve their laws and whatnot around stablecoins. And right now, the focus is right now in America and as well Europe, and and as well right now they're trying to do some sort of policy changes around stablecoins in Poland. So as I said, every week there's some new country that's doing some relegation bill around stablecoins. This last 7 days it was Poland, and it's still in Europe and America. We got the Clarity Act, and then the week before that, I believe it was Georgia. So they might not be important countries to you like Poland and Georgia, but as I said, I'm more paying attention to the patterns that I'm seeing. And the pattern that I'm seeing is that week after week, the infrastructure or developments or whatever you want to call it, infrastructure changes in terms of relegation bills, policies, yada yada, as always seems to be focused on stable coins. It gives me the impression that every country is slowly trying to may not compete, but onboard their some of the traditional finance instruments onto the blockchain, into stable coins, get new participants, right? Because for them, you guys got to look at it this way. For these governments and whatnot, if they want, they already have the TradFi people. They already have a channel for them to get them to provide their liquidity to invest, right? To buy T-bills, to buy bonds, to buy all these instruments, right? But stable coins and crypto is an untapped sales channel for them, right? So if USDT and USDC is actually, it is stable, but if they look at it the same way as the dollar, like the government, uh, it makes sense for them to open up that sales channel to obtain new users, new customers, new liquidity. I mean, even though it's much smaller than TradFi, but it's better to onboard it now while it's still small, still an infant, and watch it grow, right? You don't want it to get too big and and too late. So get in now and onboard this sales channel. The other news is, I guess, is related to Zcash, and I guess it has to do with the patch. Um, so Zcash fixed the code, as you guys saw. But the issue is the confidence and the trust is not back yet fully. Um, and right now, there's still no evidence that no one took advantage of that exploit, right? So no one actually knows if that exploit was taken advantage of yet. They still haven't given us that clarity, so the trust is not fully backed yet. Just because they fixed it doesn't mean that people fully trust it yet. At the same time, ironically, um, XMR, they found an exploit on it too, but it wasn't an infinite supply export. It was more of a minor export. So I've been talking about like block rewards with you guys the last couple of weeks or so. So someone found an exploit where they just take the block reward from the miners, which is a pretty big deal in my opinion, right? So if you're mining the network and you're expecting some XMR for mining the network, you weren't really getting that, right? So someone was able to actually steal your reward. So to me, that was a pretty big exploit. But at the same time, the irony of it is that um, people bought XMR. Like it didn't dump like Zcash. Like this this is where they found the exploit. Like somewhere around here, they found the exploit. It was Tuesday, and look, people bought on the exploit. It was different. Whereas Zcash, this is where the exploit got founded, and we just fucking dumped. And to me, um, Zcash still is not bullish yet. This is this is more at the moment. This looks like a bearish retest, right? This is more of a bearish retest. So let's see what happens when I open the trend. Yeah, it did reclaim the 200s and whatnot, but as I said, the faster EMAs and whatnot are still bearish on it. Okay, let me see here. Let me pull up BTC. So one thing I want to point out for BTC. So a lot of people will be like, I remember last week when this weekly candle closed, everyone was like, this is a bullish divergence. This is not, this red candle is not the bullish divergence. It would be this one right here that we need to pay attention to. All right. So we made a lower low on the weekly. The RSI and the momentum, isolators, um, made a higher low, but that is not confirmed until the weekly closes green, right? So we need in the next 5 hours and a half, this candle, this weekly candle, to close green. All right. So it needs to stay above 63.3K and the bullish divergence will print. So pay attention to that weekly candle, because if we do get that weekly candle to close green, we should follow what I showed you guys with the rate hike initial pump. So we should get somewhat of initial pump, and that I believe could take us to like somewhere into the 70s, right? uh, maybe between 70 to 75, 72 to 75, somewhere around there, right? It should take us there at the very least. That's if, as I said, guys, that's if the weekly closes green. So pay attention to it, because the last few hours, so today, starting 10 a.m. my time, we started already dumping. So if we again start trading below 63.3K, I think we're gonna be teasing it a bit here. We're gonna see what happens, but I would chill out for a little bit before opening up any new positions and wait and see how this plays out, how this weekly candle plays out. All right. The 3-day did close um last week with a bull divergence. Okay. And now we're seeing the initial pump of it. So as I said, guys, if we get that weekly candle to close green, then you may want, if we get a pullback to like 61, 60 point, whatever pullback, even if we get a pullback to 62, you may want to long it. You may want to long it and play the weekly bullish divergence. That means it will be good for altcoins as well. But yeah, this is what you want to pay attention to. Um, the what else? What else? Let's see here. Now, on the monthly, let me open up the Bitstamp chart. On the monthly, we're getting, we need to reclaim the 50 EMA to maintain somewhat of, well, maintaining our close above support, right? Because at the moment we're closing below the support. The other thing is, I like, part of my system that I use, like, as I explained to you guys, I have, my system is divided pretty much into 3 parts. So the first part is like pretty much a trend. Well, first I look at the price action, which is the chart naked and whatnot. What is it doing and all that stuff. And then I look at the EMAs, MAs, because the EMAs and MAs are really good at focusing on the trend, and it gives you kind of like a regime filter. That's why a lot of people use the 200 EMA and MA. It's not like it's support or resistance, but when the price is above, well, when the price is rising above like a long-term moving average, like the 200, the people that accumulated over that regime are generally in profit, while, and you know, it causes the trend following, like if someone is a trend, has a trend system, that gives them like that gives them a signal to be more long biased, right? So pullbacks into that area will attract people to buy, whereas if the opposite is happening, it's more like people will look to short it, right? So this is why, and the last part of my system, I look at the flows. You can look at VWAP, you can look at volume profile, open interest, the funding, the CVD, liquidation levels, you know, all these things come into play. And that gives you more position type of context when you're trying to understand what's happening with the trend or with the regime. Um, but yeah, so like, for example, if we pulled back to the 50 EMA and the open interest did more of a reset instead of having it collapse, and the funding just cooled down, and it didn't really go extreme to the other side, and the sellers or failed to push it lower, and then we start seeing some positive flips in the like flow, other flow data like the CVD, and that's when you can be like, okay, this seems to be like a bullish pullback to the 50 EMA, right? Now you didn't long because of the 50 EMA. That was just the location of it, right? You long because the flow gave you confirmation. So this is how I have pretty much built my system. It's divided into three parts: price action, naked charts, whatever, support resistance, trend, regime filter, which is my EMAs and MAs, and then I look at the flow for the final confirmation. The flow is actually the most important. All right. That tells you where the money, where the money is. Yeah. More free close, weekly green, then you think yeah. Yeah, exactly. If we close the weekly green, yeah, I think a move to the 70s is in play, right? It makes sense. As I said here, when you look at the weekly chart, second, it will eat a pump here. Two resistance will be 76, 72K around here, right? And it'll still follow the bearish macro outlook. Now, let's talk about some levels on the 4-hour. So on the 4-hour, we had somewhat of a structure here forming, but I'm not really a fan of this right here. We kind of yeah. Like for me, I would put like, because we're following somewhat of a structure, it looks more of a bearish structure. I'm not gonna lie. This 4-hour looks a little more on the bearish side. I don't really like this, but it is forming higher highs, as you guys can see here, and higher lows. So if we can maintain support on the 50 MA, which is like around 62,500, 62,800, somewhere around there, I think we'll be fine to actually go to 66 right here, right? Possibly even to the 200 EMA, 200 MA, and the 300 MA gap over here. All right. So that would be between 68 to 72,000. So for me, I have 62,600 for, what do you call it? BTC support on the 4-hour. All right, which is the 50 MA. Again, I'm not really a fan of this. I don't like this 12-hour candle, but let's see what happens. For me, this is the same level as last week, by the way. It's about getting a close above this point of breakdown. 67K as a start. if the 12-hour can get a close above here, we could be looking for a move around here, which matches up with the 300 MA on the 4-hour, which is 72K to 74K. All right. On day, I really like the 34 EMA. I talk about it every week, guys. Every week I talk about it because it's such a good trend following EMA, because when we're in a bullish trend, it's actually a great area to know what the fuck is going on. Like, you can look at it. In bull trends, it's very, very hard for it to turn, like, convince you that the trend has changed, especially on lower time frames. Once the flip happens, it can be resistance, it can be support, it can be all of that. Like 34 and the 50s are really a cheat code. I really like them. And this is where I put a nice 70K, give or take, on the daily, which is sandwiched right between the 34 and 50. This is where, if we get a daily close above here, it would be great. But I'm just paying attention to the weekly chart. Weekly chart, seeing what happens with the weekly candle before I make that type of decision. But yeah, and by the way, the only reason I said July will be green is because of what I saw in the last bear market. Because in the last bear market, as I showed you guys, we saw the breakdown in June where we lost the 34 EMA. And again, this bear market, we saw the breakdown of the 34 EMA on the monthly in June as well. So we're actually matching up in a very, very similar pattern here. Okay. And on the 3-day, you follow the 34 EMA, we need to close above it. And that'll take us to like 74. You know what? It'll be a close above the 34, but a close above this. Because when we close above 75K, we had the initial move into the 80s. So I would like to see if we get another close above 75K on the 3-day. I think we would go to 89K. So if we reclaim the 3-day, I think we would break this high, this wick, and fill this. I don't think we would double top it. I don't think that'll be the case. Okay? But right now, again, guys, the 3-day has been printing lower low still. Like, the structure is very simple. I don't think the downtrend is over yet. I think we still ultimately got one big leg down. And for me, as I said, I'm keeping it simple when it comes to following the macro trend for BTC, because I'm not betting on the 4-year cycle breaking or changing. That hasn't happened yet, so doesn't make sense to me. Like, I get it if this is your first time trading, you are in your first cycle and you don't know what's going on and all that type of stuff. So yeah, you may fall for it and say, okay, that's it, we bottom, BTC is never going lower than 60K type thing. I can see that if this is your first cycle. And I can see if this is your second cycle, if this is your second cycle and you still believe this is somewhat different and we're gonna have a super cycle and we bottom the yada yada, I don't know. I think you should have learned, like, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, whatever. Um, but yeah, I'm just gonna follow the 4 year cycle until that changes. It changes. If it doesn't change, um, probabilities on your side. If it changes, you can always adjust and flip long very, very easily because the prices as a whole are still very fucking low. Very fucking low on all your altcoins. They're very, very low. If BTC was to reclaim and be turn fully bullish here, you would still be buying your favorite alts way, 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 way lower than 2024 and 2025. So that's why there is no need to rush it. There's actually no need to rush it. All right. So overall, you want just a quick recap on BTC. You want to pay attention to the weekly candle. Okay? Pay attention to the weekly candle. It shouldn't, if it closes green, we got a nice bull dev. If it closes red, be cautious. Wait for trade the lower time frames, scalp, intraday trades, all that stuff. I don't think you need to take a long-term swing position yet of any sort. So that's why I'm just going to be patient and I'm going to wait for the weekly candle to decide what it is going to do. Okay. Now, looking at BTC funding rate just went up, more positive before the stream started. And Binance was actually negative funding. Now it flipped positive with Bybit. So yeah, ETH funding is all positive pretty much. Sol funding is all negative. Yeah. So let's look at some ETF. We had one tiny inflow on the 12th, but overall the outflow trend is showing. It's still there. Let's see here. Yeah. It's so speaking of BTC, one thing I found to be interesting when I was like, I know sometimes I do the astrology things for you guys, and I just found it interesting that how there's going to be a solar eclipse, by the way, on August 12th, and then right after you got Ghost Month starting. Now this solar eclipse is supposed to be like a new moon on steroids, and new moons are typically bearish. All right. Uh, so that's usually been the data. But yeah, let's see what happens. As the irony behind it is that Michael Saylor, uh, he started his Bitcoin treasury strategy literally on the solar eclipse. Literally. So it's just so funny how all of this is like coming together. It's really wild how all of it is like really coming together. And let's see what happens. It's supposed to be a very humbling solar eclipse. And the fact that it falls on his, it's gonna be pretty interesting. It's going to be very. I'm actually excited to see what happens. Like, if actually something, because okay, when this solar eclipse happens and the ghost month happens and all that stuff, I know people are gonna be expecting, okay, why didn't BTC just crash, right? It's not gonna happen that way. It's gonna take a couple of months for it to cook, for us to see the signal. Just like, guys, if you guys recall, the astrology signal, what was it? It was around here or here, happened around 92K, where it said it was a very bearish signal. And even though we had the pump, look what happened. It took a couple, like 2, 3 months for it to cook. And I always said, with that November 18 or 19 signal, the damage starts happening next year. And the damage of that signal that we saw in November, it always said global catastrophe, global issues, and whatnot. So what we saw this year was the war, oil crisis, all this type of shit. Like, it's too much chaos, too much fucking chaos. I can't even name it. We had Venezuela fucking get taken down. There was just insane amount of problems all across the world that no one knows. Like, you can't even keep up with what actually happened. But everyone's focusing on the war, but just a lot of shit happened. That's just, by the way, that's just on a global scale, like the big new headlines. But if you were to actually come down, shrink it down to our industry, which is crypto, let's look at it. One, we had the big downtrend, which wiped out whatever was left of retail. That's number one. Number two, we had the drift protocol exploit for 200 million. We had the Kepler, DAO, Aave, and whatnot hack exploit that happened for hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And again, this all happened just in April. There was like at one period of time, there was 10 crypto protocols exploited in 1 week. There were just very small protocols. Then we had Sui just get exploited for every fucking shit project they have on it for a straight 1 month. And there were periods of time where Sui was not actually functioning, right? What else did we have? We had some protocol that's on Berachain, Blast, Base, and Ethereum get exploited. Okay. We had Thorchain get exploited. We had the Zcash get exploited. We had Harmony get exploited for 30 million. We had XMR get exploited. And we had Radium 4 days ago get exploited. So, you guys see, just because the signal happened in November, it takes a little bit of time for it to play out. Everything that the astrology signal told us would happen on November 18, 19, or whatever has happened this year so far. Every single thing. We had global catastrophes and our industry got fucking molested, Jeffrey Epstein style. And it doesn't even seem to be done yet. All right? So this astrology signal, when it happens for MicroStrategy, don't expect it to happen immediately. It's probably going to, we're already seeing a little bit of cracks. We're already seeing a little bit of cracks where he's saying like, hey, I'm not selling my Bitcoin, but the company can sell its Bitcoin if it means it needs to survive. So I want to show you guys something where something similar happened before. So this bear market right here, This is when I joined crypto. Over here. This fucking shit show over here. Alright? So what happened over here? Why did this dump happen? This dump happened, ironically, because of a mining war that was going on. So you guys heard of Bitcoin Cash? So Bitcoin Cash was actually today Bitcoin Cash is two projects, which is Bitcoin Cash ABC and Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. But beforehand, they were one project called Bitcoin Cash. Now Bitcoin Cash is a fork of BTC. All right, they launched around here, um, around here, the first Bitcoin Cash, and for every Bitcoin that you held, they sent you Bitcoin Cash and the same value. So if you held one Bitcoin, they sent you one Bitcoin Cash because it's a fork of BTC, and it was the same supply and everything, yada yada, so forth. So they're over here had a disagreement between the whole Bitcoin Cash team, and they got into a mining war. They ironically they forked Bitcoin Cash and went two ways, and they needed money to fund their mining war. So all like again, these people that were running these projects had a fuck ton of BTC. So to fund their mining war, to show that they're stronger, yada yada, and all that, they sold all their Bitcoin, causing a 50% crash in the market. And it was insane, guys. We literally went from 6,300 to 3,200. And we did not know what the fuck was going on. But yeah, it's funny how history's rhyming, because we may see the same exact thing with MicroStrategy, where they're going to have to sell or something related to it later on in the year that could cause us to crash really bad. All right. So pay attention to these things that are happening. We got, again, guys, bear markets, just because prices are down, they are actually a blessing. They are really a blessing, because take into account how much you have learned during this period of time, how much you have improved your trading during this period of time, and how much you got better, right? Yeah, the dollar and everything, like your portfolio is down a lot, but this type of education, because you stuck through it, you will be able to actually make a fuck ton of money in the coming bull market. You'll be better with your profit taking, you'll be better with your compounding, you'll have more trust in yourself and all that type of stuff. So for me, I take bear markets as a blessing, because when, as you guys saw, when bull markets happen, it's a really, really roller coaster of emotions, and you don't really have time um, to sit there and learn and improve. You just have to keep trading and pushing and all that type of stuff, right? Now let's look at some ETH. Ironically, Sol now on the 4 hour looks better than ETH. Ironic, because this whole time it was the opposite. All right. And one thing I want to mention, by the way, is you guys are realizing how CT is not the same anymore. Meaning the alpha, when it reaches CT, is okay. Before, all alpha was on CT first, and over time they started becoming a diminishing return. And that diminishing return is really showing now more than ever, where the alpha is more in other places, and you kind of have to look for it. Either you're in the right group chats with good people, that are forward thinkers, always digging around, or if you build tools for yourself. And as well, um, there are people on apps like FOMO. Like FOMO, I actually see it becoming the alpha place for on chain trading uh, before CT. So because I haven't been trading on FOMO, but I have been using it to track on-chain stuff, to track traders and all that stuff, people that I like and whatnot. Um, and let me tell you this: you are more than likely to find an on-chain shitter that is below 100K market cap that has that could have a really good story, really good everything, really good narrative, and by the time it reaches CT, it will be already in the millions of market cap. If not, like it'll be, you already have missed the majority of the move. Like it's so easy. Like sometimes, like I've been just testing out with like money that I don't really care about. If I see something, or I like this, I buy it right from my Phantom wallet. I check Twitter, check X, whatever. I see nobody tweeting about it. Nobody. And that's how, like, I was able to find Dr. Pigeon at the start of the year when it was not even 100. What was it? 100K market cap? Not even. It was still very, very low in the market cap. I can't even remember, but it pumped to like 5 million. And I think, I know people on CT are like shocked that they have 500,000 users, but the majority of the users are just lurking. They're just following their favorite traders, and they're copy trading them from their own wallet, not their FOMO wallet, because they don't want to pay the extra fees, right? So the future of on-chain trading is not doesn't necessarily have to be on FOMO, but it's going to be on something like FOMO, if not FOMO, because it only makes sense. You want to minimize the noise. Like your favorite trader will literally post their thesis with their buy, and you just read it and you don't read the spam or bullshit that comes with it. And yeah, I think like that Substack that I wrote a while ago about how the attention is dividing. I think the attention is actually really dividing in front of us. Um, and like on chain is gonna go into those social apps. Perp traders are gonna be mainly in group chats and like fucking building their own tools now. All that stuff. I'm seeing more and more people start doing that. So CT is more gonna be, is I feel like it's going to be more and more posting of thesis and like it's always kind of late. Like even it's ironic, even with Zcash on this run up, they were late, right? Um, so yeah, CT is not like, how many times, like, okay, how many times did the scanner post an alt that went 5-10x, right? And then at the end of the move, you see people posting the chart on CT. We saw it with Rave, we saw it with Siren, we saw it with Arya. Fuck, we saw it with Lab, we saw it with Velvet, we saw it with Beat. Time and time again, when CT is posting the chart about something that went up massively, it's usually near the end of the move. That's what I've been seeing lately, and I think that's going to continue because I don't know what changed, but there's I guess people want to build their own things or use something that's more focused on trading and less on commentary, right? What else? All right, so let's talk about ETH. All right, talk about ETH. So for ETH, we have For me, I wanted to see it flip this top of the range. Again, it doesn't look like it didn't do a higher high like Sol did, like BTC did. So it's looking more weak in my opinion. See, whereas BTC, we're looking for the 50 MA to hold on the 4 hour, whereas ETH is already rejected the 50 EMA, lost the 34, came down to the 50, and it's like it's not looking very great yet, right? We need to really close above 1721 on the 4 hour. That would flip the wick, the top of the range. That would mean we have reclaimed the 50s and the 34, 21, 13, all that kind of stuff. That would push us possibly to fill the gap to the 100 and the 200 over here. Because we may, if we flip this top of the range, we may reject over here, but get a pullback, and then we continue to the 200s, right? But ETH is not in the same position as BTC. Because if this candle closed green, we would have had somewhat of a bull dip, but that's not the case. ETH filled the wick and closed below it. BTC did not. So ETH looks worse now than it did before. And for the longest time, I've been telling people ETH is more than likely going to break 1,000. Go to the $800, $900. And now that's becoming CT consensus. Guys, it's really not that complicated. Just follow the 4-year cycle. I'm not doing magic here. I'm not doing anything different. I'm literally just following what the 4-year cycle is, and a lot of people just want to overcomplicate it. The formula is right there in front of you. It really is. We just follow the 4-year cycle. We come back to the support of the high time frame, and we bounce. We start the ETH cycle where ETH pulls a 7.5 to a 15x move, in my opinion. From this bottom, ETH will pull at least a move, a 750% move. All right, this is the game plan. Long-term game plan. All right, so we have the 4-hour level marked. We need to pay attention to it, because if we lose this and we lose the support at 1600, I don't see a double bottom forming. I see more of like a chop and a chop and then a chop. It's just gonna keep grinding down slowly. It's really gonna chop. I feel like it's really gonna chop all the way down to like the, as I said, 800 to 900. And I guess when we get here, somewhere will be around here later in the year, we do the final leg. It'll be strong whiplash. Well, not strong. It'll be like strong liquidation, to be honest, on the final leg. But we'll probably chop all the way down, slow grind down, all the way there. And during this whole period of time, everyone's gonna be like, "We're so back, we're so back, we're so back," as you guys see. But again, just follow the 4-year cycle. Just follow the 4-year cycle. It's not that hard. And on the 12-hour, want to see a reclaim of the 34. So 1795. So if we reclaim, sorry, removing the EMAs and MAs, if we reclaim this 12-hour, we reclaim this low, and I see a move going over here to the daily, which will be 1930, but we will need a daily close above this 1930. All right, because that would be a resistance level that if we flip it, good, we're in the clear, and I think that would give us somewhat of a move at least to here, 2163. Yep, and that makes sense because that's more of a 3-day resistance level of the 34 and 50s and whatnot. But again, it doesn't, we had a bull dev and it still didn't really do anything on the 3-day, which I'm kind of shocked about. Yeah. Pretty crazy. But yeah, it looks like we're going lower, to be honest, on a higher time frame. So for me, overall, I'm still not convinced that we bottomed. I think we're still gonna go lower. Now, when I look at Sol, this is what I mean. I did better than ETH in terms of 4-hour structure. Now, let's look at the EMAs and whatnot. So for me, again, ETH was retesting the 50 MA, whereas Sol and BTC are going to use it as support. So $66. Yeah, that structure, if Sol can maintain that structure, it would look pretty clean on the 4-hour. To use this as a support level to potentially go higher, go higher. If it were to use that as the support level and go higher, I can see a move somewhere around here happening. So we go from, let's say we get a 66 to hold, 65, 66, whatever, to hold on Sol, which is the 4-hour 50 MA. It can build a move to 72, 71. And let's look at it on the 12-hour. Yeah. That'll be a clean 12-hour. If we get a close right there above it, that'll be a clean one. Because then we would have closed above the 34, gotten to the 50s and whatnot, and that could potentially build us a move for, well, a move for higher. For me on daily, again, I would want to see the daily reclaim this low, which is 78.30. That would be really clean. And that would be a close above the 34 and a close on the 50. But yeah, if we do manage a daily close above here, that would actually give us a chance for this area. This is how you want to take it. So if we maintain the support level, we can build a move to the 70s. We close above the high 70s. We could be discussing a move to like at least 85. to 90. Yeah, see? And that is the 34 EMA. See, it's very, very simple. I don't want to use the EMAs and MAs just blindly. I want to see what the support levels and resistance levels look like. And considering that we are still in a bearish trend, you would want to build them, see, okay, this is the support level. These are the next three big resistance levels that I see. If we can get above 86, then we're talking a move to 100, right? Very, this is how I keep it. Very simple. Mark my levels, understand it, price action, yada yada. Look at the trend, look at the regime, okay, then look at the flow data. Very, very simple system. You just follow it, follow whatever system you have, um, use good risk management, all that type of stuff. Over time, it'll just click. It will honestly just click and it'll just be, okay, um, I can do this. Very simple, you know? Uh, a lot of people just overcomplicate it, but ultimately, just figure out what you like and how you can make money out of it. Where is your edge? Where do you have the highest probability of winning on which type of setup, which type of things, chart, time frame, yada yada, and just keep doing it over and over and over again. This is why a lot of people get excited when they first start trading, but and investing, because they get excited on what they could make, um, but at the same time, once trading and investing clicks for them, they realize how boring it is because you're just repeating the same shit over and over again. And yeah, it's not like a job. At a job, you get new shit happening left, right, and center. In trading, you're just clicking buttons and keeping up with what's happening in the world. It's literally like playing an MMO. Like you're literally playing like a fucking MMO game. So if you're good at RuneScape, World of Warcraft, that type of shit, trading will be good to you. Because in MMOs, you're just repeating the same shit over and over and over again. But then some new fucking story, new patch comes out, and you just have to adjust to that new storyline. But you're still doing the same shit. You're still doing the same shit, just in a different storyline. So yeah. So yeah, these are my soul levels. We're talking about BTC each soul. One of you asked, can you look at OG Doge? Do you mean like Doge? What's OG Doge? I've never heard of OG Doge. Some pump fund? It's a bit. Oh, okay. It's like a literal shitcoin. What's this? I mean, never heard of this coin. Uh, I don't know. You can't really chart shitcoins. You can't really chart these coins. Like, Obviously looks like it's going up, but and I don't know how far. So this is literally a new coin that launched. Where did you even find this coin? Okay. Okay. I don't know. For all I know, this could be bundled as fuck. I have no idea. Okay. Yeah. This is bundled as fuck. Yeah. This is not good. Alright. Let's look at some alts. If you guys want me to look at alts, post them in the comments. We'll see what is happening. We'll see what's happening. Alright, let me just pull out. I'm gonna pull out the latest scan, see what's happening. A lot going on here. Alright. Well, 1 hour time frame. Jelly Jelly has been popping up quite a bit. It's been insane. Yeah, let's keep Jelly Jelly. Kato. Nope. This is like one of those siren dumps, esports dumps, and now it's making a big move. That's fucking. This is a new coin that just launched. Yeah, launched in April. Okay, let's keep it. Eva. Meme coins really, I mean, altcoins in general pump really high on the weekend. Okay, why did it post FF? Hmm. What did it say about FF? Let me see here. Give me a second, guys. Mm-hmm. Okay. Saying it gave it an early. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, on the lower. Ah, no, gotta be picky. This one to the. Wow, just kept going down. Um, trying to figure out here. BE. This one's new. The fuck is this? Alright. Alright, so this. Alright. Lit. Lit, lit, lit. Yep. Apex, nope. No, not this. This one has a ton of bullish divergences. Way, way oversold. See this again. This is a layer 2. I don't like layer 2s. I don't like to own layer 2s. I would never be invested in a layer 2. This is every layer 2 chart. Traded, sure. There's a ton of bullish divergences. Look at the momentum. I'm gonna keep this because you can actually catch a trade, a nice intra day trade on it. Mega has been down only. This was their launch. Yeah. This see here, 34 EMA. If this plays out, chop, we should have a nice move up. Yeah. I'm gonna keep mega. There move. Alright, shit. Alright. Don't like mount Steam. Manta's right on the 200 on the 4-hour. This one's tough. Let me check the flows on it. Because it looks like it could pump to resistance. I remove it from it. Nope. Nope. This bitch has just been chopping. It's waiting to break up, or like it's waiting for a volatile move. It's really waiting for a volatile move. Let me see where it showed up on the scanner. Where did it show up? It's a T2 watch list. So it's saying keep it on the watch list. Wait for confirmation for a breakout. Market cap. Okay, interest is open interest. It's, it's literally, this is a crazy chop. This is actually a crazy chop. Um, like where do you? I'm gonna keep this on the watch list because if something has to give. Something has to fucking give on this one. INJ. Bottom of the range. I'm gonna remove it. I'm gonna remove blast. Let's see. This one. I'm gonna remove it. BNB. I'm gonna remove it. GPS. Okay, 4 hour looks decent. 1 hour looks decent. I mean, if it doesn't lose the 200 on the 4 hour, and maybe it's, yeah, this is something you should pay attention to. Huh. Now looking at the scan report, they even posted that the ones that I said no to, like Manta, INJ, and Q, they had the topping label on it. Even for C. Okay. I'm gonna keep GPS. Let's see what happens. BTW. This is a new coin. They're looks like they're cramming it. Okay, let's keep it. Atom. Why the fuck is Atom pumping? Please. Bottom. I'm gonna keep it. It's near the bottom of the high time frame with the 12 hour above the 200, 4 hour too. It's not that bad chart wise. Let me check its flows real quick. Okay. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Because it's $1 billion market cap. Atom is listed as building long. BSB. Look how this look how quickly this shipped. Because we were trading this back in May and it had a crazy run up, and look, it's already down like 90% from May. That was a month, not even a month ago. This is in less than 1 month. It dropped 90%. Yeah, remove it. Truth. Alright, I'm gonna keep it, see what happens. This was more on the riskier side. Let's see here. This one's new. If you can get above 21, you can get a move. But I think I saw it. I'm removing it. Chip. I'm removing it. Okay. B R Grievous. Clo. Give me a second. I'll look at Clo. One has a lot of volume coming in. It's very risky, this one. What? It's near. Let's see. It's near. It's okay. We're not doing Siren. Give me a second here, guys. Did you say CLO? Give me a second. Alright, let me remove this one. Aztec. 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 Banana. Banana, big dump. But recovered well. Um, like if banana is more of a long, if we can get the daily close above here, because it already did the big pump, and it looks like it's a pump to resistance, right? So to keep it on the watches or not, I'm not sure. I'll come back to it. Blue AI. Yeah, this one I'm keeping. GMX. LA. LAU. LAU or no. It's LA. Nah. On. Not bad. Retest. Trying to break out. Right on the 12-hour 34. Yeah, keep an eye on this one. Pendle. No. No. Yeah, no. No. see here. Skycord. Nope. STX. Has potential, but think you may be able to scalp this one. It's close to invalidation. I'll look at it again. Super. Trying to print bull devs on the weekly, or a bull dev on the weekly. Yeah, remove it. WCT. Same situation. World Liberty. Down only. There was some news about it. What was it? What were they going to do? I forgot. Oh yeah. Today's the UFC fight, and World Liberty is gonna give bonuses to the UFC fighters to it. I don't know. So you can play the news on this. That's why it showed up. That's why there was flows to it, right? Because they're gonna pay the UFC fighters bonuses. Uh, World Liberty stable coins. And XPT. All right. Quick look. Q was removed. Now, I'm not saying to enter blindly. Keep on the watch list. Mark your levels. Chip was removed. And do the trade. Let's remove banana. Okay. Now let's look at CLO. It was on the scanner. It's not bad. Gonna add it. Okay. All right. Now let's look at some shorts. What did the scanner show for shorts? Keep in mind, guys, when it comes to shorts, it is still being tweaked. The short side is not 100% set up. I am still in the building phase for it. Actually, not bad short. XPL, we saw the whole credit card thing. Stake, and you buy a certain amount of XPL, and what was it, maybe $6,000 worth, and you get like the highest tier credit card. So people, I guess, took advantage of that. That's why we saw the initial pump happen. But there are bear devs there, bear dev on the 12-hour. But the daily shows there could still be a squeeze. Let's see here. It is exhausted, this one, a bit on the 4 hour side. Yep. Pump here. Rejected. Okay. This one may not be a good short. This actually looks more like a good long. So actually going to add this to the long. Let's see, OP, another layer 2, guys. Again, this is why. How many layer 2s did I show you guys with the same fucking setup? Same setup. All down only. Yeah, it could be a good short. This one too. I guess you can wait for, like, Brett, you can maybe try to short the pump if it tries to do a pump, and yeah, to the 20 MA. But right now it may try to do like a small pump here. Um, and you may want to short that. Our favorite coin. It does look shortable. They're trying to print the bull dev on the weekly. There is a bull dev on the 3-day. So the short setup on this one might be, for say, might be not that great, but keep an eye on how the weekly closes, because we still got 4 hours and we got to see what BTC does. So pretty much if the next 4 hour candle closes below the 50 MA, we could be looking at a red weekly close for say. So just, yeah, keep an eye on it. Otherwise, we'll print a weekly bull dev. All right, Fogo. Yeah, if it doesn't start reclaiming these MAs, that could be a short, especially if it loses this space over here. Yeah, that looks like rejection on the 4 hour, distribution. Same with Pippin. And Arya, damn. Actually looks like it's going to fall hard. So yeah, these would be, I guess, the shorts. Keep an eye on them. XPL, if it loses this 15-minute trend, yeah. What else? Let me see something here. Huh. So if you guys, so I want to show you guys something. I just pulled this out because I wasn't really trading on the weekend, but as I'm looking here, so the scanner posted a short here for Siren, a short here, and where was it? Because I'm looking at the signal chart. I put it in the Telegram chart channel for you guys. This is what I mean by I'm still tweaking it, because they just kept popping shorts all the way here. It didn't pop a new short signal, but the scanner had it shorting from here to here, and the scanner was longing it from here, 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 and pretty much stopped. This was the last long signal for Siren. So yeah, what I mean is I'm still tweaking the short side. It's slowly improving and getting better and better. Um, as well, so there's gonna be a huge TradFi upgrade to the scanner as well. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to be implemented over the next month or so. So whatever TradFi assets are listed on Trade XYZ, because that's where all the open interest and volume and attention is, it's going to analyze those assets on the same level as it's doing crypto. So there's not gonna be a difference between the quality of setups or the quality of the scoring for these assets between TradFi and crypto. It's just gonna take a little bit of time obtaining data and all that type of stuff. But yeah, overall, perp flow is going to look so much better over time, because it's going to be able to identify the BTC regime, the TradFi regime much better, and is going to scan for setups based on the macro regime. And yeah, and it's gonna keep trying to provide us with higher probability type of setups. Not necessarily always the best ones, just the setups that have the highest probability of giving you profit, right? So again, I'm gonna pretty much end the stream here, guys. I just want to talk about, like, how I mentioned earlier today, that the bear market is really a blessing. You should be really grateful for it. Not because prices are going down, um, but literally, this gives you a chance to improve yourself, and this is really important. Um, to for you to actually, how should I say this? If you want to improve yourself, you don't need motivation. You don't need motivation. Motivation won't make you reach your potential, right? Motivation won't do that for you. It really comes down to, like, the discipline and everything, and your amount of effort and what you do on a consistent basis. It really is, and this is what the bear market allows you to do. You're right now giving you a chance to look over, okay, what happened in the past uptrend, what happened in the past downtrends, how can I consolidate all of that and take advantage of it for the future and all that type of stuff. How can I better myself? If you put in the effort now into understanding these things, you would be able to approach the next cycle much better. And I always said, in the next cycle, there's always going to be new narratives, new things to trade, new great things to trade. They're going to look retarded, um, but they're going to make you a lot of money. So stop like negotiating with yourself and just fucking do the shit that you need to do, right? Do what you need to do. Avoid unnecessary comfort. Keep applying yourself the best way possible. Wake up being grateful, hit the gym, take care of your health, take care of all these other things. um like for me, what I realized is like the gym and the gym is really a cheat code, but at the same time what people lack is their identity, right? So I always said, like, for me, I was born Muslim, right? I pray, I follow my religion, but I'd never tell someone, hey, you should try being Muslim. If my friend is Christian, or if he's Jewish, or if he's Hindu, or whatever it is, I'll tell him, like, hey, that's your identity, give it a shot. Go pray the way you're supposed to pray, go do the things that you're supposed to do, and put yourself in those environments, and I honestly, you'll see a lot of comfort from that. But what it really does is, one, for me, like as a Muslim, I have to pray 5 times a day, right? So I have to put in that 5 minute of effort 5 times a day on a consistent basis. And when you do that over a long period of time, you kind of rewire yourself into getting used to putting in effort into things that you really want. Same with the gym. Like when you go to the gym, you put in a lot of effort. You go 5 times a week. You go for a month. You go for 2 months. You go for 3 months. After the third month, you start seeing a little bit of changes compared to how you first started. Now, what you are actually doing is rewiring your brain to have trust in yourself. You're like, okay, I went to the gym the first day. I don't have the muscles or whatever, the body that I want, but I'm gonna go again tomorrow. I'm gonna go for the next month. I'm gonna go for the next year. Because if I keep doing this, I'm gonna achieve what I'm trying to achieve. It's the exact same thing with trading. You keep putting in the effort, you keep being consistent with it, you show up every day. I see some of you guys show up every fucking day and you try your best, you learn, you pay attention, all that stuff. All of that is gonna pay off. All of that over time, that compounding of effort will pay off. But once you start skipping what your effort, that's when the payoff stops. Once you start skipping the gym, you start gaining weight. Once you stop praying, you don't feel very relaxed. Once you stop putting effort into your trades and whatever, you stop being profitable. So it really comes down to that. It's not motivation. People, you can watch all the motivational bullshit you want on YouTube, but that's not going to help you. It's the same thing when you want to become an athlete, really, or anything. If you want to learn how to read, like when you first started learning how to read, you didn't know how to fucking read. No one knew how to fucking read when they first started, but you kept reading. Oh, okay, I'm gonna learn the letters. I'm gonna then try practicing the small words, then the bigger words. Then I'm gonna learn how to read a page. Then I'm gonna learn how to read a book, and yada yada and so forth. And eventually, you learned how to read. When you first started, you didn't know shit. Bro, this is the formula to life. It really is that simple. That's literally the formula to our society, to our life, to everything that we do, right? So you be consistent with your effort every single day for the things that you want. Eventually you'll have it. Your life of where you are today is a very, I always say this, is a very simple formula. It's your good decisions minus your bad decisions equal where you are today. Now let me explain that to you. In trading, you could be making so many good decisions in your trading, right? Let's say you started out at zero or $100. For let's just say $100, you started out, you made so many good decisions over, I don't know, 3 4 5 years, right? Now you've compounded that $100 to, let's say, $100,000. Okay, now you have $100,000. You got to $100,000 because every single day you woke up, and for the last like 5 years, the majority of your decisions were good. So as a result, you have $100,000. Now, once you reach that point, let me explain to you what could happen. One or two major bad decisions, right? This is why bad decisions have different impact. Good decisions have different impact. There's small, good decisions that can cause a small impact, and there's really good decisions that you can make that can cause a major impact, but the same thing can apply to bad decision making. Now, in this case, this analogy, you have 100K, you ignore your rules, you ignore everything that got you to the 100K, you let a position run too long, you lost 10K. Then you do it again, you lost another 10K. Then you were tilted, you do it again, you lost 20K. So now your 100K became 60K. You look over the last 5 years of your work, you're still up 60K. You feel like shit, but overall, you're still making good decisions, right? This is why you have to be wary of how you manage your decision making. You put in the effort, that's good. You show up every day, that's good. But you have to continue learning with an open mind to minimize the bad decision making that you do. So that formula keeps compounding to a bigger number over a long period of time, right? So the way your life compounds is exactly the same fucking thing when it comes to trading and investing. One bad decision doesn't ruin your life. One good decision doesn't change your life. It's the repetition, it's the accumulation, it's the compound effect, right? So again, this applies to your gym, your food, your work, your family, your friends, wherever you go. This is the fucking formula to life. This is literally the formula to life. We have been given this formula on a golden platter, and everyone wants to fucking overcomplicate it and look for shortcuts or just sit there and hope God just throws it at them and gives it to them on, I don't know, a golden platter. But it really doesn't work that way. All right? So this is how I'm going to end the stream today. Keep an eye out on BTC. Keep an eye out for the next 4 hours. We don't want to see BTC close below 63.3K. We want to have a green weekly close so we can look for longs, so we can print a bull dev, and we'll close above the 200 MA. We still have a chance to retrace it. We don't know yet. We're stuck right here, very close to it. But yeah, keep an eye on everything. Especially BTC. All eyes on BTC. I'm gonna post a watch list for you guys on the channel. Anyways, I'm gonna end the stream here. Thank you guys for joining, and have a lovely day, and let's have a great fucking week. All right? Take care, guys. Thank you.